You ever look at the people running things and think there is no way this person is the smartest one in the room? So why the hell are they in charge of everything? The manager who can't operate a spreadsheet but somehow decides your workload. The politician who can't answer a basic question but shapes laws for millions. The influencer giving life advice while their own life is on fire. And yet they're the ones with followers, votes, titles, authority. It's tempting to just say, well, society is stupid, and switch off. But that's lazy, and honestly, it's not useful. Because whether we like it or not, we still have to live inside this reality where power often ends up in the hands of people who seem unqualified at best. Machiavelli wouldn't be surprised by any of this. He wouldn't be outraged. He wouldn't be shocked. He'd just quietly say, yes, that's how the game works. And that's really what this is about. Not complaining about idiots in power, but understanding the game well enough that you're not constantly blindsided by it. And maybe even using it to your advantage without becoming one of them. So, let's start with something uncomfortable. Most of the time, the people with power are not the people who are best at the job. They are the people who are best at getting power. That sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but we forget it constantly. We judge leaders like they got their position out of a meritocracy exam instead of a series of political, social, and psychological games. The idiot boss who doesn't understand the product. He might be terrible at the product but excellent at making the right people feel important. The politician who says nonsense might be terrible at truth but excellent at tapping the feelings of millions who want simple answers. The influencer who talks in cliches. Terrible at depth but excellent at packaging themselves as someone you'll click on again and again. Machiavelli's whole thing was this: power doesn't care if you're good. It cares if you're effective at gaining and keeping power. And here's where we get screwed psychologically. We expect power to follow virtue. Reality rewards something else entirely: perception, confidence, and usefulness to others who already have power. So why does society keep handing power to idiots? Let's break that down without turning it into pure theory. First, we are deeply attracted to certainty. Imagine two people. One says, I have a simple solution. Follow me and things will get better. Here's the villain. Here's the fix. The other says, it's complicated. There are trade-offs. Here are three possible paths, each with a downside. We'll need to test and adjust. Who does the average crowd choose? Not the nuanced one, not the careful one. They choose the one who sounds like they know, even if what they know is oversimplified nonsense. Machiavelli wrote that a leader must appear decisive and confident even when he's not. Because people judge what they see, not what's actually true. They trust the performance of certainty. That's the first filter. Confident idiots beat self-doubting intelligent people every day in power games. Second, people want comfort more than truth. If someone tells you you're right, you're the victim, they are the problem, you deserve more and I will fix it for you. That's emotional sugar. It feels good going down. If someone tells you you contributed to this, you need to change your habits. It's partly your fault. And the solution will be slow and uncomfortable. That's emotional vegetables. Very few people line up for that. So the leaders who sugarcoat reality, blame external enemies, promise easy solutions, they rise fast. They are rewarded with votes, likes, promotions, loyalty. The ones who tell you hard truths, they're usually ignored, fired, or called negative. Third, systems reward those who serve them, not those who serve truth. A corporation doesn't promote the person who's most honest about its flaws. It promotes the person who gets results in a way that keeps higher-ups comfortable and well-protected. A political system doesn't elevate the most rational candidate. It elevates the one who can survive fundraising, media cycles, tribal loyalty, and drama. Even in friend groups, the person with the most influence isn't necessarily the wisest. It's the one who hosts, organizes, connects, and entertains constantly in big and small ways. Systems are asking one question: can you keep this machine running in the direction we already like? Idiots in power are often just people who are very good at that one thing, not rocking the boat in the wrong direction, while loudly pretending they're steering it. Now, this can sound really negative. Like the conclusion is, so the world is hopeless. Power is a clown show, but that's not Machiavelli's conclusion. His conclusion is more like, stop expecting the game to be fair. learn the rules as they are, not as you wish they were, then decide how you want to play. So, let's turn this into something practical, because you're not watching this just to say, yep, people suck. You're here because you've seen this pattern. Maybe at work, maybe in politics, maybe even in your family, and you're wondering, how do I survive this? How do I get ahead without becoming a fake, shallow idiot myself? Let's start with your daily reality work. Almost everyone at some point has had a boss they knew more than. You've sat there thinking, why does this person decide my fate? I could do their job better. And maybe you're right, but that frustration can eat you alive if you don't understand what's actually being rewarded. Ask yourself a brutally honest question. What game is my workplace truly rewarding? Is it pure competence? Is it loyalty to higher-ups? Is it being visible and loud? Is it taking credit and avoiding blame? Is it political alliance with certain people? You might not like the answer, but you need to see it. Machiavellian thinking doesn't mean becoming fake. It means reading power clearly. If your company rewards visibility, then the quiet genius in the corner will not rise. The mediocre performer who presents well in meetings will. If your company rewards obedience, the honest critic will hit a ceiling. The agreeable yes man will get invited into the room where decisions are made. So what do? You have 3 basic choices. Change yourself, change your environment, or get crushed by it. Change yourself doesn't mean becoming an idiot. It means developing the skills that idiots use effectively, but with a conscience. For example, you might be great at your work but terrible at being seen. You're the one fixing things quietly while someone else presents the results as their own. A Machiavellian adjustment here would be, you start documenting your contributions. You send short, clear updates to your manager. You speak up in meetings once or twice with something concise and confident, even if it's not perfect. You're not lying. You're not stealing. You're just refusing to be invisible. Another example, maybe you're blunt. You tell the truth in a way that makes people defensive, so you get labeled difficult. Meanwhile, the smoother talker who says what people want to hear sails up the ladder. The adjustment here is tactical honesty. Machiavelli would say, you don't owe everyone the whole truth all the time, delivered like a punch in the face. You owe yourself the truth. What you show others should be calibrated to what actually works. Instead of publicly saying, this plan is stupid, you say, I see a risk here. If we go this route, we might run into 10th. I think there's a safer path. You're still honest, but you're not suicidal with your honesty. Now, change your environment is the other big option. A lot of people stay in systems that only reward idiots, then wonder why their soul feels drained. If your entire company culture is built on politics, fake metrics, backstabbing, and appearances, and you're someone who values depth and competence, you are playing an away game every single day. Sometimes the most Machiavellian move isn't to win inside a rotten system, but to leave it for one where your values are actually useful. That could mean switching industries. It could mean joining a smaller team where competence matters. It could mean starting your own thing where you control the incentives and get crushed by it. Is what happens if you see all of this, hate it, but do nothing. That's the default path. I don't say that to shame you. I say it so you don't lie to yourself. If you decide I won't play the game at all, fine, but understand the game will still be played, just not by you. Now, let's zoom out from work. Why does society as a whole keep handing power to apparent idiots? Because most people select leaders the way they select fast food, quickly, emotionally, with very little long-term thinking. Think about elections, trends, social media, who rises, the one who makes you feel good about your group, gives you a clear enemy, speaks simply, doesn't overload your brain with nuance. That's it. That's the formula. Machiavelli basically said, a leader must know how to manipulate appearances to look merciful, faithful, humane, religious, upright, while being ready to do the opposite when necessary. He understood something that still hurts to admit. People don't reward reality. They reward the illusion that feels safest to them, so idiots who are good at the illusion win. But here's where you actually have power. You might not control who becomes president, who runs the global economy, who trends on the internet, but you absolutely control who you give power to in your own life. You control who you listen to regularly, who you emotionally invest in, who you mimic, who you work for, who you trust with your time, attention, and energy. If you constantly watch, follow, and work for idiots, that's not just their fault. That's your selection process. A very Machiavellian move that doesn't get talked about enough is this. Become ruthless about who you allow to influence you. Ask yourself, is this person actually competent or just loud? Do their results match their image? Would I want to trade places with them in 5 years, not just today? If the answer is no, they should not be shaping your worldview. Stop handing power, even mentally, to people you know are clowns. That goes for leaders, influencers, even people in your personal circle. Now, there's another side to this that stings. We all have a little idiot inside us that loves easy stories. We all have that part that wants the strong leader who'll just fix it. The guru who has 3 rules for success. The manager who says, don't worry about it, I'll handle everything. Our inner idiot would rather feel safe than informed. Machiavellian self-awareness means you don't just point at the fools in power out there. You also notice the moments when you're willing to act like a fool in here, like when you ignore red flags because the person makes you feel special. Believe a simple narrative because it flatters your ego. Follow someone because they resemble authority, not because they've earned it. Catching that in yourself is huge, because once you see your own susceptibility, you're less likely to be seduced by external idiots. Let's make this even more concrete. Imagine you're working under a clearly incompetent leader. They make bad calls. They don't understand the details. They change direction constantly, and somehow they are still in charge. You have 3 instincts fighting inside you. One says I should expose them, call them out, fight the stupidity. Another says I should suck up, play dumb, join the circus. And a quieter one says I should use this situation strategically without losing myself. That third voice is the one we want to develop. In practice, it could look like this. You stop expecting them to become competent. You accept that they won a different game. Politics, visibility, timing, whatever. You stop wasting emotional energy on outrage. Instead, you map the situation. Who actually has real influence around them? Is there a calm operations person they rely on? Is there a right-hand person who filters information? Is there a higher-up who quietly knows this leader is weak but keeps them as a shield? You start building relationships sideways and up, not just focusing on your direct boss. You make yourself genuinely valuable in ways that are visible, not just working hard in your corner, but solving problems others notice. You choose your battles. You don't challenge them on everything. You let some stupidity slide so that when you do raise a concern, it stands out. You protect yourself. You document instructions, decisions, outcomes, so that when their incompetence causes issues, you're not the convenient scapegoat. None of this is glamorous. It's not a movie moment. It's slow, strategic, and kind of unromantic. But it's how people with brains survive and even rise in systems that aren't fair. Now, what about gaining power yourself without becoming one of the idiots? Machiavelli would not tell you to be a good person and hope for the best. He'd tell you to become both a lion and a fox, strong enough to act, clever enough to see the traps. For you, that might mean you deliberately work on your image, even if you think it's shallow. If people see you as hesitant, weak, or permanently uncertain, they won't trust you with responsibility, no matter how smart you are. So, you practice speaking in clear, simple language. You learn how to make a point without over-explaining. You let your voice be a little more decisive. Even when you're still thinking through details internally, you'll still do your deep thinking, but you won't put all of it on display all the time, because you know most people don't buy nuance, they buy clarity. You also set a personal code. Machiavelli gets misread as do anything, betray everyone. He's more subtle than that. He says rulers have to be ready to act immorally if necessary. But that doesn't mean you have to be a psychopath. You can decide, I will use strategy. I will manage my image. I will be politically aware. But there are lines I won't cross. I won't lie in a way that destroys people who trust me. I won't fake competence where it could seriously harm others. That balance, Machiavellian, realism with an internal moral boundary, is rare but powerful. It makes you dangerous in a good way. Because here's a secret. If you combine genuine competence, emotional control, and a basic understanding of how idiots get power, you start playing in a different category entirely. You're not the naive idealist who gets eaten alive. You're not the hollow idiot who rises and then collapses under pressure. You're the quiet strategist who can operate in both worlds. And yeah, you will still see idiots in power. You will still see stupid decisions. You will still sometimes lose to people who are dumber but more aggressive. That's reality. But you won't be shocked by it, and you won't be powerless in the middle of it. Before we wrap this, I want you to think of one specific area of your life where this pattern hits hardest. Maybe it's your company, your industry, your local politics, your social circle, even your extended family. Where do you keep thinking? Why do the worst people keep ending up in charge here? Got it? Now ask yourself 3 questions about that area. 1. What exactly is being rewarded here? Appearance or substance? Loyalty or competence? Drama or stability? 2. How have I unconsciously been rewarding idiots myself? By staying silent, going along, giving attention, voting with my time or money. 3. What is one Machiavellian adjustment I can make that doesn't betray my values but makes me less of a victim in this environment? Maybe it's speaking less in public and more in the right private conversations, documenting everything, building alliances with the few competent people who are actually around, detaching emotionally from a leader you know is a clown, so they stop renting space in your head, or quietly preparing your exit strategy instead of hoping the system will magically fix itself. Just one adjustment, not a personality transplant, a small strategic shift. Because power doesn't move in big speeches, it moves in tiny, repeated, often invisible choices. Machiavelli wouldn't tell you to believe everything is possible or manifest a better boss. He'd tell you, see clearly, act shrewdly, stop expecting the world to reward what it doesn't value. If you feel frustrated because you're smart, you care, you try to do things well, and yet you're surrounded by powerful fools, you're not crazy. You're noticing a real structural pattern. But that frustration alone doesn't help you. Understanding the pattern, then adjusting how you play around it. That's where your leverage is. Don't romanticize competence as if it automatically leads to power. It doesn't. Don't romanticize being above politics either. That usually just means someone else is making the moves while you keep your hands clean and empty. Instead, think like this: I will get very good at what I do. I will also get good at how power moves. I will not worship idiots, but I will understand them. I will not become them, but I will know how to survive and maneuver around them. Because at the end of the day, society will always hand power to idiots in some form. That's not going away. The human love for easy answers and confident nonsense is not going away. But you don't have to be at the mercy of that. You don't have to let it crush your career. You don't have to let it shape your entire worldview. You don't have to let it dictate how your life feels day to day. You can be the person in the room who sees the show for what it is, plays your role wisely, and quietly builds a position that actually matches your abilities. Not by whining about the idiots, not by becoming one of them, but by doing what Machiavelli really wanted people to do. Wake up to how power actually works. And then on that foundation of realism, build something that belongs to